Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, July the 5th, 2020. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I've got a packed show today. I hope my voice will hold out. I'll do what I can. We've got new methane data, and NOAA finally updated their methane data for 3 days this afternoon, so I finally got all that put together so I can do my weekly methane update. I have 2 days worth of methane data for CAMs. We've got Saturday and Sunday to look at, and then we've got some other stuff to look at too, sea ice and climate and volcanoes and things like that. So I wanted to start off by showing you this image. This is from Sam Carana. It's actually from his latest blog post having to do with the Siberian heat wave that's still moving along up in the Arctic. So I recommend everybody go and look at that at arctic-news.blogspot.com. But I like this image. This is all these blue areas are where they think very high deposits of methane are in the Arctic, under the ocean, in the sediments there. And so as the temperatures heat up, then these are shallow areas that can, the sediments can heat up and those hydrates can melt, and then the methane can just come rushing up to the surface. Now this area in the red rectangle is the East Siberian Arctic Shelf, so we've had our eye on that. But we also, now right here near Severnae Zemlya, we've been seeing methane continuously pulsating up around this is north here, the northern end of this island, ever since January. And it's, I've been kind of concerned that, what's going on up there, but we're seeing that there are methane deposits there. So, has some of that been triggered? It very well could be. It could be. So there's that. It's all around here. This is in the Laptev Sea. This is the Kara Sea. Here's the Barents Sea. Here's down by Norway. And here's all around Greenland. Now look in the Baffin Bay. I didn't realize there were such high deposits over here on this west side of Greenland, and then here in the Beaufort Sea as well. So this I'm going to be referring to a lot, and now what he put down here, this is a quote from Shukova, Samelatov, and Shuvalin from the paper that they did, and it says that the blue area predicted deposits of CH4 or methane hydrate, quote, releases could potentially increase by 3 to 5 orders of magnitude, considering the sheer amount of methane preserved within the shallow ESAS seabed deposits and the documented thawing rates of subsea permafrost. But another problem that we're having is, as these tributaries are melting, and there's warm water running down, pouring or emptying into the Arctic off of the land, and that's pretty toxic too. So that can be heating things up too. So I wanted to start out to show you all that. Now we're going to look at CAMs in a minute. Let's go through a few of these slides that I have this is from Climate Reanalyzer from today, and this is the 2-meter temperature anomaly map, and we had been seeing it all red up here in northern Siberia for weeks on end, and it's now gone down to blue. I mean, not blue, brown, but that's still like 10 degrees higher than normal. And see, the brown is moving out into the ocean there. Now this is moving down into the blue, so it's cooling off where all those wildfires had been burning. So overall, worldwide, we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.6 C. The Arctic is up 0.9 C. The tropics are up 0.5 C. The southern hemisphere is down 0.1 C. And the Antarctic is down 0.8 C. That's lower than normal. Here's the flat view of the globe, so we can see where the brown is moving out across Russia and into these Middle Eastern countries and Africa and down here through Mongolia and China. Here's Western Australia in the brown, and we've had some pretty stark contrasts in the Antarctic, from red over here on this western peninsula and the Pine Island Glacier region to purple over here near the Weddell Sea, and so on. Now here's the precipitation map. The green is rain, the blue is snow, and it's still raining across parts of the Arctic. We've been seeing this going on for couple of weeks now, and this is not good. We've got big holes opening up in the sea ice, but we've got a lot of rain still going on. This is the sea level pressure from today. We can see there's a high right over the Arctic, right over the North Pole, and it should be low here, but this has been a consistent high pressure system, and that's what's causing the jet stream to break down. And here's the flat view. There are all your highs and lows around the globe. So the low that should be over the North Pole has slipped down between Greenland and the UK. Now here's the jet stream, and it's insane, and it's pretty weak. You can barely make out where it's moving through North America here, but it's just looping, and then it gets strong coming across the Atlantic. But we've got a breakdown of the jet stream in this northern hemisphere, and there's no rhyme or reason. Then look how strong it is here in the southern hemisphere, but it's broken up down here too. Here's the sea ice and snow cover from today. This is Climate Reanalyzer, and here's the Hudson Bay that's melting away. Here's the Baffin Bay. This part all around this west side of Greenland is ice free. There's a huge area that's just totally ice free now, and where it's darker, that's where it's not as concentrated, or it's getting thinner. It's melting, and there was a hole that opened up here a couple of days ago, and that's kind of slid back together now. Here's the North Pole, but we can see darker where it's melting all around where on that sea ice. The Kara Sea is pretty much empty. Here's the Barents Sea. This is the Laptev Sea. This is the East Siberia Sea. This is that East Siberia Arctic shelf. It would be right along here. quite thin and melted around most of the coastlines. Here's the Bering Strait, and it's melted around the coastline of Alaska and most of Canada there. Now the thickest sea ice is still right along in here, but it's not looking good. Here's the sea surface temperature anomaly as of yesterday, July the 4th, and the red is about 5 degrees C higher than normal, and this pinkish white is like 6 C higher than normal. So as we can see all around the ice here in the Arctic, it's up into the red and the brown and up into this pinky red, pinky white look. And what you're gonna see here, right here on this coastline, methane from today, we've got a huge new release here. You'll be able to see that on cams. So overall, worldwide, for sea surface temperature anomaly, we're up 0.4 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.7 C. The North Atlantic is up 0.6 C. The equatorial Pacific is up 0.3 C. The southern hemisphere is up 0.1 C. And the North Pacific is up 0.7 C. Here's the flat view. So here's this North Pacific where it's red and brown. And then on this west side too, look all around Kamchatka and Japan. And then we've been having a sulfur dioxide event here in the West Pacific, and it's actually from a volcano that's been erupting in a little island down here. It's a Japanese island. It's been erupting since June the 19th. I just now found out about it today. I'm going to show that too. Look here in the Black Sea, that's all red. So that's not looking good. Here's the Navy sea ice thickness model for today, July the 5th, and here's our color ledger over here, and we're down. The dark purple is like 1 meter thick, which is like a meter is about 3 feet for people who don't know the conversion. And then the light purple is half a meter. And so here's the North Pole here. So we can see this whitish stuff. That's just a tiny bit of covering. But this is where the thickest sea ice is, and we have just barely a little bit of green here, and a little bit of just a little sliver of red and yellow here and around here. But that thick sea ice is going away. I don't see how it can last with the current conditions. Now here's the 30-day animation from the Navy. It goes back 3 weeks and then forecasts out a week forward from today. So it's a 30-day animation. So it's not a month back, it's 3 weeks back and then 1 week forward. So it ends, they're forecast on July the 12th, and it starts on, what was it? July the 13th, it looks like. Now look how fast this is thinning down and melting. So by the end of the period, it's shrinking down so fast, and not just shrinking, but look how thin it's getting. It's going from this the solid aqua is about 2.25 meters, and then it goes down to the dark aqua 1.5, and then down into the purple range. So by July the 12th, it's everything looks like everything above that North Pole. Here we are at the last day. Everything above this North Pole region in these first two quadrants, almost everything is going to be in the purple range. So less than 1 meter and less thick. And it's quite thin. The extent is not that great either. So if I zoom in, it's going to start going again. But you can see. Now there's kind of some thicker ice here that's kind of hanging on. Now this is Severni Zemlya. This is where the methane, that huge methane area, has been coming up. Here's Svalbard. This is Franz Josef Land. Here's Novaya Zemlya. These are the New Siberian Islands over here. This is the Isas over here. This is the Laptev Sea. Here's Alaska down here, and we're seeing it. The Beaufort Sea is starting to melt out now too. Now this is a little bit different shape than last year. Last year the Beaufort Sea melted out very quickly, and it was thicker up here in quadrants 1 and 2. So it's a different pattern this year. Let's run it through one more. There's okay, one more. That's the end of the forecast period, July the 12th. So we'll see when I do my report next week. We'll see what it looks like. Look at this open area here around this Canadian coastline. And like I said, this is where that thickest ice, this is the remnant, and it looks like it's going to be melting out from the coastline too, or opening up. Okay, let's move on. This is the African cloud, dust cloud. This is the fourth one coming across. This is from CAMS, from today. Okay, here we are on NOAA data. I'm just showing the latest data from yesterday, July the 4th. And this is the METOP-1 satellite for the morning for the 477/469 millibar reading. The mean or average was 1,891 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2310, and that's in the pink color, between 2,000 and 2,310 parts per billion. In the afternoon, the mean was 1892, the high reading was 2320. On the METOP-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1873, and the high reading was 2298. In the afternoon, the mean was 1873, and the high reading was 2343. Here's our spreadsheet So here for the 4th, I've added up all those numbers and divided them by 4, and we come up with an average of 1882.25 parts per billion. So that shows an increase from last Saturday, the 27th, of 1 part per billion. And last week it had gone up 2.75. The week before that it had gone up 1. So if we look at over here, here's the chart, here's where it's going back up, and this is where we are, and this is where I started March the 1st of 2019 of doing my own tracking of this. So we're at the same 1882.25. We were at the same level towards the end of August last year, and we're in the beginning of July. So we've got months more to go on the rising. So the change since March the 1st or February 29th has been an increase of 5.75 parts per billion, and since March the 1st of 2019 it's been an increase of 25 parts per billion. Now down here is where I started tracking this on a daily basis. Here was the 27th, where it was 1881.25, and that showed a decrease of 0.25. Then that was for last Saturday, and then let me show you what happened this week. So on Sunday, the 28th, it went down another 1 part per billion. On Monday it went down 0.25 parts per billion. On Tuesday, the 30th, it went up 2 parts per billion, so that was a huge spike there. On Wednesday, the 1st, it went up another 2 parts per billion. So in 2 days it went up 4 parts per billion. So I thought we were going to have a bigger increase than what we're seeing. And then this is the data that they just released today. On the 2nd, it went back down 0.75 parts per billion. On the 3rd, it went down another 1 part per billion. And then on the 4th, there was no change from the 3rd to the 4th, so it stayed the same. So we ended up for this week of an increase of 1 part per billion. But since the 1st of February, we've gone up 19. I think that's supposed to be 21 weeks anyway, since February 1st. We've gone up 19 parts per billion. Or around anyway, I think it was the 8th. Okay, February 8th. Since there, that's when it started heading back up. So there's that. Let's see. I'm gonna hop over to the CAMS methane now, so we can keep methane all together in the report. I've got Saturday, July 4th, loaded up for the Arctic view and surface level. So here we go. Here's the color ledger down here. So this is where it left off on Friday with this high release. We can see around Severny Zemlya and then an arm of it moving out towards the North Pole. And you can see it's starting to fill up all the way around Russia in Russia and in Canada and in North America, the US. So let's run this movie. So the data is for Saturday and the forecast period is for Sunday through Wednesday. But we've got Sunday data, so we can definitely look at that. Now we see this wave moving up in Siberia. I want you to be watching here when we go to Sunday. So see, this is a huge release here. This is an area where there's a lot of methane, and we're seeing the waves, the background colors and the waves coming out in these lighter green and into the yellow colors, which means higher releases of methane in waves. Now let's stay on the Arctic view and let's hop over to Sunday now. Now look at what happened here. This is on the coastline. This is where it ended. This big grouping here, right? And then watch here. Look at this big arm moving from Severnaya Zemlya all the way across. This is the North Pole here. And so let's run it. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelt. Okay, so it dissipated, but it was a very high release on this coastline. So that's getting very close to, heating up these sediments here in this ESAS. Let's see it just swirling out here. Moving out, and it's coming out through the sea ice because this is surface level. And look at it streaming out from Norway and Sweden and Finland. Now let's go back to Saturday. And we'll go down to the North Pole view. We can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere now. And we can see the US filling up from like this middle part, Midwest over east. That's not looking good at all. And we still have high releases in California and up here in the Pacific Northwest. That's kind of a constant. Here's India, here's the Persian Gulf, here's China, here's Korea. This is northern China, and this is where it connects with Russia. This is the Russia border here. Okay, let's hop on over to today. Now let's go back back to Saturday, and we'll look at the global view. It's still coming up in the Antarctic near this western peninsula, and that's in the dark, and see it's streaming down from South America. Now let's go to Sunday. Okay, here you can see it spreading out across the Arctic where it was streaming across, that arm of methane streaming across. There's that. Go back to Saturday, and we'll take a peek at 500 HPA. This is kind of equivalent to the NOAA reading of 477. That's close. Now here's the most concentrated from India moving over China. Now even though there was an increase in methane, we're seeing a lot of areas where it's in the orange color. It's not just solid red all the way across, like we've seen it sometimes. Now let's look at Sunday. Okay, there it is. Now we see it's moved up more solid across here. Here's this most concentrated here over India and China. We'll go back to Saturday and look at total column. Now we can see it's spread out from northern China all the way down, and then North India. And it's getting into the reddish zone as it moves west into Africa and also parts of South America down here too. Now Sunday. Okay, look how it's moved up. It's moving up. This cloud is moving up into Russia now. So it's spreading out there. Alright, now let's move on with what I've got. There's a volcano. Hold on. This is from NASA Worldview from today. There's a volcano. This is called Nishino-shima. Then the Southwest Pacific. But look at the ash cloud zipping up there. I just found out about this today. I've been seeing sulfur dioxide come up here since June the 20th, and I couldn't figure out what it was from. But then he did a video showing showing that. I'm going to show you. Oh, I've already got it. I've got it here. Oh, here's NASA World View. Here's his video of it. Eruption at Nishino-shima Volcano, Japan. New 28,000 foot high blast. So if we... Now he's playing the Coast Guard video. Look at that. This is what it's doing. And the crater is actually expanding. And part of it is submerged in the water. A subterranean or some kind of sub crater or something. So that's the island, and there it is. And part of it, the rest of the crater, you see where it's smoking over here? That's part of the crater too. It's submerged in the water. So that's what's blowing up. Here's, this is from Volcano Discovery with the news and activity. And this is from July the 1st. The effusive, explosive eruption of the volcano continues at high levels associated with continuous Volcanian, Strombolian type explosions from the summit crater. Anyway, look, and they've got sulfur dioxide from cams. They're actually showing it here. So, I'm in good company being able to show that. But I wanted to show you where this is. This is, now here it is on Google Earth. Now how would you ever find this? It is just a tiny little island. I did a search on Google Earth. Here's Japan. Here's this ridge, and it's right down here. It's so small you'd never see it. And here it is. And here's the volcano down here. So it was erupting when this picture was taken on Google Earth. Let's see. It's almost like the whole island is the volcano. So I thought that was weird. Now here's NASA World View for today. Let's go back and you can see now that black line's covering it up. Here it was on the 3rd. It's right down here coming up through the clouds. Here's a really good picture of it for July 2nd with it streaming up. Here's July 1st right there. We can't see it there on the 30th. The clouds are covering it up. Clouds again on the 29th. Here it is. Look at this long stream of ash plume here on the 28th. It's coming from that little dot. Here's the 27th. That's a really good view of it. It's a huge explosion there. Here's the 26th. Here's streaming up. 25th. That's a really good one. Look at that. It's going way out. Here's the 24th. You can see it really well there. 23rd. It's this white area here next to the cloud. 22nd. It's mixed in with the clouds. 21st. You can't see it. Here's the 20th. You can't really see it there. And the 19th, there was nothing really going on. The 19th was when it started. There it goes. Here's what it's been doing since then. There it is on the 1st. Here it is on the 5th. Now I'm going to back out, and here's Japan, and it's right down here. How could you ever, I mean, who would have thought that a little tiny little speck like that could cause as much sulfur dioxide as what you're going to see here? But there it is. And it's causing all of this. This is sulfur dioxide from cams for today. This is June the 20th was when I first started seeing, and it was a lot smaller, but it's been adding to it periodically and spreading out. I didn't know what it was from, but now we know. So this is sulfur dioxide total column worldview from cams for today. Here it is at 500 HPA, so it makes sense now what we've been seeing. Here's the East Tropic view, so here's China and India and Africa, and here's this new coming up and spreading out. Here it is at 500 HPA, and these volcanoes that are really explosive, it can shoot this stuff way up in the atmosphere and can get caught up in the higher regions. That's what we're seeing here, and it hangs out there. Here's the Pacific view. Now this is the new stuff, and this is old, and it takes a long time for it to dissipate. Now this is new from Alaska. This is Popocatépetl. This is Hawaii. So this is humongous what's going off. You can see just in comparison, just the magnitude. So there's the new, where it's the darker here, and here it's spreading out. This is at 500 HPA. Here's the North Pole view, and that's actually getting up into the jet stream and spreading out over the Arctic now. And so as it's raining and snowing over that sea ice, it's added the sulfuric acid and then the smoke from the wildfires, and so it's a really toxic soup that's coming down, raining down on the sea ice and melting it faster. Here it is at 500 HPA. See, here's a higher reading here on this North Alaska region. Actually, that's at the Bering Strait. Here's the South Pole. This looks tame compared to the rest of the planet. And there's the 500 HPA view. And now I'll get into the earthquake part of my report. What I've started doing is just taking pictures and recording them, and then I'll go through the report. And then if there's anything new on the earthquake website, we can look at that. So I took these pictures this morning, and there were 376 earthquakes worldwide for all magnitudes. This was like a 5 point something. I'm going to show that here in a minute. Up here in the Aleutian Islands, that's the biggest one. see the biggest dot there, and these are 4s. These dots are in the 4s range. Here in Southern California, in the Searles Valley, Ridgecrest, and Lone Pine is up here. There were 42 today. And we've had the year anniversary of when all of this started down here at Ridgecrest with the 7.5 earthquake that started a year ago yesterday. And that's what set all this off, and it hasn't stopped since then. Here in Nevada, this is the Tonopah region. It's still rocking along. So Nevada, this is Bodie, California. This is Mammoth Lakes. So in this view, there are 113 earthquakes. And there was a 3.2 here at Bodie, and this is part of the Mammoth Lakes area, Mammoth Lakes caldera. Now here off the coast of Northern California, this is at the bottom of the Juan de Fuca plate. There was a 2.7. This came in yesterday afternoon at 3:28 p.m. There was also here next to Chico, just west of Chico, 2.3 near Hamilton City. Now, I'm always interested in this area. The Oroville Dam is right over here, so that's not too far from all of that. This came in yesterday morning at 11:18 in the morning. Here in the geysers, there was a 4.0 that came in this morning at 9:14 a.m. Normally we don't see them at that large of a magnitude, but today there was a huge one there, 4.0. Here in the Northwest Pacific area there were 7. The largest one was a 1.1 near Vennersborg. Here in the Yellowstone area, including over here in Idaho, there were 7. The largest one was this 2.9 at Stanley, right over here. In Southern California, there were 42, and there's a large one of 3.5 down here at Ocotillo. So you can see that they're increasing in magnitude. Here in the lower 48, there were 262. Here in Alaska, there were 71. This was a 5.5 at Sandpoint, Alaska, or near Sandpoint. This came in at 1:53 this morning. That was a big one, right on the red line. Here on the West Pacific, here in Indonesia, and this is Burma, and up here in China, and looks like Iran. There were 8, I think, yeah, 8. And these were the 4s range, but there was the biggest one was this 4.9 down here off the coast of Indonesia down here. So here was a 4.8 at Tobelo, and this 4.8 near North India. Then Hawaii had 18 here today. They were in the 2s range. Here in Central America and Mexico, there were 2, a 4.5 here, and a 4.3 at Costa Rica. Puerto Rico had 14 here today. These were threes and under, threes and twos. And then after I took all those pictures, there were two more that showed up here on this fulcrum point at Petrolia, California, and this is a 2.9 and also a 1.2. This is right on this San Andreas fault line. We can see where it connects with this Juan de Fuca plate. So lots of activity there. And we're back to where we started. So that's my slideshow for today. Now let's look at sea ice. Let's hop up to the Arctic. Let's see. Here's the National Snow and Ice Data Center Sea Ice Index. This is daily. This is from yesterday. I've chosen the Blue Marvel view. This is the concentration, and where it's more blue, that's less concentrated. White is the most concentrated. So as it goes down and getting darker, it's getting thinner. So we can see it's really thinning out, coming down, even down past the North Pole towards Greenland. Now here's their chart for the sea ice extent, and this is the blue line is this year, the dotted line is 2012, and that was the year that it was at its lowest extent in recorded history, and we're about tied with 2012 with extent. Now in 2012 it was a lot thicker, even though the extent was low. It was much thicker. You know, there were areas I think that were still like 5 meters thick, but we're not seeing that at all. So with it being that much thinner and the extent coming down, that means that all of this will melt that much faster. Here's the Greenland ice sheet today. Let's look at these pictures. This is what's melting today. These areas in the salmon all around the edges. Here's what's melted this year since January 1st. We can see that it's even started melting on the interior here. A few days. This is days of melt. Days of melt. And this is the red line is the percentage of melt. This is this year. And see, it was spiking up past 30% melt a couple of times in June. Now it's gone back down. It doesn't look like they've got all of the June data yet. The blue line is the median where it normally is, like from 1981 to 2010. But we're not in any median range. We're in no man's land now. So let's go back. I wanted to show you. Let's see. Sea ice concentration. Okay, here's where it was on the 3rd. And look how colorful this is. These are all the areas that are melting. And see this area here. It's this is where the hole had opened up and then it kind of closed back up. It opened up, I think, on the 3rd. But where you go down into the purples and blues and greens, it's almost all melted out. But it's melting quickly, and it's been raining all across here at different times. Also, turn that layer off. This layer has come back now. I like this layer. This is another version of the concentration. This is equivalent to the snow and ice data center, what we saw. So you can see it's going down there. But what I like is that we can go back and see for ourselves where it was even like a week ago, or like June 25th. See the white? That was where it was thicker and more concentrated. Now watch the change from the 25th. There's the 30th. Big change there in the 30th. Here's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Okay, and then it's a couple of days back on that layer. So let's move forward to today. Just take a peek. Here's Greenland. You can see the edges here. Look, there's no clouds here. This is a really good view. You can really see the melt going here. This is the ice sheet. Look, it started to melt in this tributary. I don't know the name of it. This is the Baffin Bay. This is a big cloud we're seeing here. There's the ice edge is over here. There's no ice over here on this east side of the bay. You can see where it's starting to break up here along this coastline of the Canadian islands here. Let's see. Look at that. Then here's Canada, here's Alaska here. Now we've got clouds over here. Here is the Bering Strait. This is ice-free. These are clouds that we're looking at. And here's the ice edge. Just barely. It's just, see, it's just barely there. Just like pond scum. Now this is the Russian side. Here's this East Siberia Sea and East Siberia Arctic Shelf is all under here. Look, here are these new Siberian islands. You can see no ice. No ice there. This is a cloud we're looking at. Look at that. Here's the ice edge here. Here's the coastline. Here's Severnae Zemlya. Now look, this is no clouds here. These are the ice caps on these islands. This is the Vovolov ice cap that's flowing into the sea. You can see it is still flowing in right here. It's running off. We'll keep an eye on that too. But this is where the methane, we've been seeing all that methane coming up on cams since January, and now it's streaming out. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's a big cloud, but there's no ice there. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. Lots of methane there. Here's Svalbard, and so on. So that's kind of what we've got. So there's that. So I will show this weekly, and if you're a member of my Subscribe Star page, then I do almost daily updates on everything, and I show sea ice periodically during the week. If something dramatic comes up, those members get the first of everything. So if you haven't checked out my Subscribe Star page, for $5 a month, you can be notified whenever I put up a new post. I post 2, 3, sometimes 5, 6 times a day with data and different things. And you can also see the videos that I make and put up, the daily reports. And it helps support me. I'm not monetized on YouTube. I never have been. So I don't make any money doing this. The only money is from my Subscribe Star members or people who happen to contribute through my PayPal link below this video. And I appreciate whatever contributions, but I think we are in the end times, and that all of this has been prophesied in the Bible, and so I'm trying to put pieces together and show as we get things ramping up faster and faster, we are going to see these more and more things come to pass that have been prophesied. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing it, and hopefully to kind of get a spiritual message out too. Let's see. Looks like we have a new 4.6 on the Chagos Archipelago region here in the Indian Ocean. And we have a new 4.1 at Adak, Alaska, it looks like. So, there's that. Now, I've been reading the prophetic books of the Bible. I started on Isaiah, then I read all 66 chapters of Isaiah, then I read Jeremiah, 50-something chapters, and then I read Lamentations, and now I'm on Ezekiel. And I believe these prophetic words are applicable to what's going on in our world today. So I'd like to finish out the show by reading Ezekiel chapter 18. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, What mean ye, that ye use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, The fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge? As I live, saith the Lord God, ye shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Israel. Behold, all souls are mine, as the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. But if a man be just, and do that which is lawful and right, and hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath come near to a menstruous woman, and hath not oppressed any, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge, hath spoiled none by violence, hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment. He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase, that hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity, hath executed true judgment between man and man, hath walked in my statutes, and hath kept my judgments, to deal truly. He is just, he shall surely live, saith the Lord God. If he beget a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood, and that doth the like to any one of these things, and that doth not any of those duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains, and defiled his neighbor's wife, hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination, hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken increase, shall he then live? He shall not live. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. Now lo, if he beget a son that seeth all his father's sins, which he hath done, and considereth, and doth not such like, that hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, hath not defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath oppressed any, hath not withholden the pledge, neither hath spoiled by violence, but hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment, that hath taken off his hand from the poor, that hath not received usury nor increase, hath executed my judgments, hath walked in my statutes, he shall not die for the iniquity of his father, he shall surely live. As for his father, because he cruelly oppressed, spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good among his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity. Yet say ye, why? Doth not the Son bear the iniquity of the Father? When the Son hath done that which is lawful and right, and hath kept all my statutes, and hath done them, he shall surely live. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father, neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. But if the wicked man will turn from all his sins that he hath committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live, he shall not die. All his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, saith the Lord God, and not that he should turn from his ways and live? But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned, and his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die. Yet ye say, the way of the Lord is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal? When a righteous man turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and dieth in them, for his iniquity that he hath done shall he die. Again, when the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness that he hath committed, and doeth that which is lawful and right, he shall save his soul alive. Because he considereth and turneth away from all his transgressions that he hath committed, he shall surely live, he shall not die. Yet saith the house of Israel, the way of the Lord is not equal. O house of Israel, are not my ways equal? Are not your ways unequal? Therefore I will judge you, O house of Israel, every one according to his ways, saith the Lord God. Repent, and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away from you all your transgressions, whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, saith the Lord God. Wherefore turn yourselves, and live ye. Ezekiel chapter 18. Well, I think that's self-explanatory and very applicable to what we see going on in the world today. So, I think we're in the end times, and I think time is short. And if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, now would be a good time. So, I'll go ahead and sign off, and I'm praying for everyone. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.